everybody.
Hi, friends. Well, from Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up on the show today, Dan, it turns out the Mormons were gaslighting us.
We have been lied to.
Or I guess,
Well,
we were lied to. Now they're gaslighting us. And they're gaslighting their membership about some central pieces of Mormon doctrine that everybody knows these people believe. And they're acting like they never believed it.
If there
It's
were
amazing.
any perks to being Mormon, and that's debatable, some of the big ones are gone now.
It's
So
unreal.
we're gonna discuss that.
I don't even know what Mormonism is about anymore. I mean, that's
Right?
that's how pivotal it is for me. So, because it ain't Jesus. We know it ain't Jesus.
No, it was never about Jesus.
Not about Jesus at all.
None of the religions are about Jesus. There are no longer any religions that have anything to do really centrally with Jesus.
No, indeed. All right, Dan.
Yeah.
I love a good fatwa.
Oh,
And I love a good story about a fatwa.
who doesn't?
Unfortunately, they're usually a little light on substance, these stories, but I don't care. I don't care. It's important that everybody know that there's a new fatwa in the world.
Did somebody write a book?
No. If only. This is a fatwa that has been issued by the Rabat Al-Azhar Fatwa Global Center.
Okay. That's one of the good ones. If you're gonna get a fatwa, you want it from one of the good ones, and
The
that
Rabat
one's
Al-Azhar
they're right up
Fatwa
there.
Global
Whatever they
Center.
are.
That's located in Egypt.
Yeah.
But of course you already knew that.
Oh yeah.
Everybody
I know
knows
all
that
about
the RAAFGC is in Egypt. They issued a warning this last week about some electronic games, video games, as it were, which is not surprising. It seems
Sure.
like religious fuddy-duddies seem to find their way around to video games sooner or later, right?
Yeah.
They make the rounds. There's some sitcom on TV they don't like, so they
Listen,
They-
Muslims should be outraged by all the entertainment because representations of human beings are supposed to be a nix
but
on
not
that.
electronic representations. That's the workaround.
Okay.
Everybody knows that.
All right.
So
Well, then what's the problem with these games?
Well, I'm gonna get to it, Dan. It describes these games as kidnapping the minds of young people,
Ooh.
and they call out specifically Fortnite.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how familiar you are with Fortnite.
I'm not. I believe it is a first-person shooter. Is that wrong?
That's what I said. That's how I described it to my husband. He did not like that description of it. It looks like one to me.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, yeah, it's like this huge... Okay, all you gamers out there, just bear with me. I know it's wrong. You don't have to email me. I know this is wrong.
Yeah.
But it's like this, like, there's all these other players all around, right?
Okay.
And they're all inhabiting this online, like, little universe thing,
Sure.
right?
Oh, it's an MMORP.
Is that what they're called?
Massively multiplayer online
Yeah.
role-playing game. I did it.
Something like that. Maybe that's what it is. I'm not entirely sure.
Okay.
But I know they like wander into things, and there's other people who are shooting. And
Sure.
anyway, Dave,
Like you do.
Usually on a Thursday night when we're recording, he's often playing Fortnite with his
okay.
friends from work. Anyway,
You should be careful. I hear there's a fatwa against that game.
yeah, it seems fairly harmless, right? And it's wildly popular. People like it. I'm just not that into video games, especially not that kind of video game.
Sure.
But anyway, this all stems from the fact that a video went viral on social media and sparked a bunch of outrage in the Muslim community because the video shows players destroying the Kaaba.
Oh.
Okay? So they enter the Great Mosque of Mecca, kill people, demolish the Kaaba to get weapons that are being stored in the Kaaba.
Oh my God.
And then, which allowed players access to higher levels after completing a level or something. I don't know.
That's
So-
that's actually like, that is shocking.
This
You should remind our listeners what the Kaaba is.
the Kaaba is the big black box in the middle of, during like the Hajj,
When people are
all
going
the-
to Mecca.
right? All the Muslims go to Mecca, and that you see like a bunch of people in a giant plaza, right?
Right.
And they're circling around this thing in the middle, right? They have to like circle it 7 times or something like that. And that thing in the middle is the Kaaba.
Right.
And in it is like a meteorite or something like that.
Yeah, it's a rock.
It's a
They're
rock.
all really, really intensely circling a rock.
Yeah. And so anyway, yeah, wildly outrageous. Well, of course, the developers of the game, they're called Epic Games. They made a statement, along with the Fortnite people specifically, that tries to clarify this misunderstanding, because apparently the content that is being shown in that video was made by an independent player in creative mode.
Okay.
So somebody designed something up and then had I guess he could probably invite people in to play it or whatever.
Oh,
and so
that is just a bad idea to let people do that. That is not smart on Epic Games' part.
Well, I mean, no, it's supposed to be fun, right? I get that.
I get
you
it's
all
supposed to be
creative,
fun.
You make your thing, and then
And then
it's
you get a
on
fatwa is what you get.
Yeah, but it should be a fatwa on the creator of that little thing, not the whole game, right? Just because you can, right? Yeah, you could do anything. You could show all sorts of fun stuff,
Yeah.
in creative mode. But
Yikes.
that's what happened. So yeah, everybody, just be aware. If you are a Fortnite player, there is a fatwa in effect
Just
right
watch
now.
as you're running around through that crazy world. Watch for the fatwa.
Be careful.
There will now be Muslim players out trying to especially kill you.
Don't
I assume there are
step, don't
people
step in the fatwa.
Right.
Oh, watch out, fatwa.
Or are they not allowed to play it now because of the fatwa? I don't know.
I don't know how it works.
Anyway, all right. Well, from Mecca, or from digital Mecca to Florida, I'm going to tell you the story of Anthony and Barbara Scarpo, who are a well-to-do couple in Florida who they wanted their kids to go to Catholic school. They were very excited about it. They gave the school money. They promised to give them lots of money. It was like $1.3 million over the course of some years.
What?
They put their girls in the school. They were paying the tuition, which was outrageous, something like anywhere from $14,000 to $22,000 a year, I think.
Good Lord.
And this is for elementary through high school. This school does. And then some shit started to go down. This Catholic school got woke and started doing things like being concerned about equality and social justice and caring that people like Ahmaud Arbery and George Floyd and Breonna Taylor were killed. So that's outrageous enough. But I think the final straw was that there was a blackboard that was put at the entrance of the school that gave kids that taught kids ways that they could be a good ally to LGBTQ plus individuals.
Oh no.
Lawsuit! It's time for a lawsuit.
Lawsuit.
The Scarpos are suing. They are not. This is unacceptable. according to the Tampa Bay Times. Oh, man. I even looked at this. I looked at the actual complaint that they filed, and one of the first things that I saw was that in one of the first paragraphs of the complaint, when they get to the actual, like, what the complaint is, they misspelled the word Catholic. I just love that. Anyway.
Catholic? Did it have a K at the end?
No, it was like Catholic or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, they are suing because they pulled their girls out of the school. Obviously, one of their girls had just graduated, but they pulled the other one out of the school.
Poor thing. Where are they going to put her? Where can they find a school?
Where can you go?
That hates the gays.
Yeah. So they are seeking to have all the money that they've donated returned to them.
Fat chance.
And all of the tuition that they've paid returned to them.
Well, like some sort of like false pretense or
yeah. But it gets better because the other thing that they want is an injunction forcing the school to stop calling itself Catholic.
Oh my God, the courts don't care.
Oh my God, yeah, literally.
Unless you're suing them at the Vatican court or whatever.
Right, exactly. You're asking the United States court to step in and decide what is and isn't Catholic.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, those judges are not going to want to be a part of this. The response from the school's lawyer was basically just, look, you're idiots. Obviously, none of it at all. He called it an obvious publicity stunt.
Oh.
And it probably is. I mean, they probably are just trying to shame the school and do it more publicly.
Right.
But, oh my God, it's just, they are outraged. Outraged. They said, this utterly fails. They were talking about the blackboard with the being a good ally to LGBTQ plus people, which nobody could say. Look, I've read a lot of the Bible. You definitely can't say that Jesus wanted people to be kind to other people. That's anyway.
Clearly wasn't a message of his at all.
Right? Yeah. The complaint says that blackboard utterly fails to put any part of this explanation into perspective with mainstream Catholicism or the Catholic Catechism. It's stupid from top to bottom, this whole lawsuit, but
these people are Catholic, though.
Well, yeah,
they are,
and they are mad as hell.
They actually expected a Catholic education at a Catholic school, and I think they've missed what's been going on at Catholic schools.
Yeah,
right.
Well, I think they've missed what's been going on. In the world. The whole world is around them.
And they've clearly missed a few details.
Yeah. Their lawsuit uses the word woke, just to be clear.
No. Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
It's
I mean, there is no right to wokeness in the Constitution, so
it's so true.
I mean, not stated as such, right?
Oh my God, it is so. Yeah, literally. Here's the introduction. Essentially, they start their introduction with essentially. Essentially, plaintiffs sue defendants because plaintiffs believe that in defendants' zeal to embrace the politically correct woke culture currently in vogue, that defendants breached defendants' promise to provide plaintiffs' minor children with a Catholic education in return for plaintiffs paying tuition and fundraising for the academy.
Wow. I mean, not for nothing. You send your kid to Catholic school, you expect Catholicism, right?
You want the full hatred treatment. You want white privilege.
Yeah.
You want hatred of gay and trans and various other queer types.
Mm-hmm.
You want the full Megillah.
Yeah.
And they're not getting it.
Well, how do you get a next generation of priests if you don't make a bunch of young homos feel bad about it?
Right? Right? You're going to run out of priests is what you're going to do. That's a very good point. The other fun flip side of this is that when in his response, the lawyer for the school also said that if they pursue this, he may have to countersue for the rest of the $1.3 million that they promised, because apparently, according to Florida law, once they've pledged the money, he can sue them for it regardless. So it might work out real bad for them.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That would be some real nerve though by the school at that point.
It would be some balls. I kind of like it. I hope they do it.
And if we have new listeners, me saying the word homo, just so you know, right?
Yeah,
I'm a gay man, so
you're gay as a May Day.
I can make that joke. I just realized some listeners may not know.
Yeah. You're the gay one. I'm the dumb one. You're the gay one. That's how you tell the difference.
What? No, Dan, that's ridiculous.
No, you really are gay. It's true.
All right, Dan, I'm going to stick with the Catholic Church.
And
I'm going to go back up to that Canadian story with the residential schools.
Ooh.
And for those of you who have missed the story somehow, what we're referring to are the schools set up essentially by the Canadian government, right?
Well, no, originally by the Catholic Church, and then
originally by the Catholic Church,
and then they kind of were in conjunction with the Canadian government.
Okay, right. Because the Catholics were doing such a good job, the Canadian government wanted part of it.
Oh, they wanted in on that.
What they were doing is these schools. The whole purpose of these schools was to take Native. So in the United States we have Native Americans. In Canada, there's the First Nations. To take the First Nations kids and sort of de-First Nations them as much as possible.
Oh yeah,
right?
make them white and delightsome as much as you can, without
having scripture to back that up.
Right.
But they were trying their dang hardestness, and to eradicate First Nations culture. I mean, that's really what it's really about.
They started with cultural genocide, and then they did a concurrent actual genocide right alongside the cultural one. So
and that's the 1,000+ remains that have been discovered on a number of former school grounds in Kamloops. I can't say that. Kamloops. British Columbia, Cow SS First Nation in Saskatchewan, and a couple other schools.
And there's going to be more and more. They've literally just started looking
barely started. And considering the ease at which they seem to find them once they start looking, yes, there are going to be more. Yeah, sadly,
and it's going to start happening here in the U.S. too. So. Yeah. So just be prepared for the numbers to just keep climbing of unmarked, just mass graves of Indian kids dead.
So, okay, this story, even though it's big at the moment, it's been going on for a long time.
Yeah.
Right. And First Nations survivors of these schools had been seeking a settlement with the Catholic Church, right? And they back in 2015, Catholic officials argued in court that they could only fundraise a total of $3.9 million for the residential school survivors, right?
Yeah,
$3.9 million.
It's just the Catholic Church. Where are they going to come up with a bunch of money?
Possibly come up with more money than that. It was just, that's the most that they could be asked to possibly come up with. In 2016, so just a year later, the St. Michael's Cathedral Basilica in Toronto was needing 1 point something. No, $128 million renovation.
Whoa.
And so they had a big gala, complete with a brass band, the article points out.
Oh, well, you can't look, Canadians love a brass band. If you want to win the hearts of some Canadian donors, you got to have your brass band.
This is on the CBC website. So yeah, brass band, guys. Anyway, they held this big opening gala. And eventually, I believe they raised the $128 million. There were other church renovation and construction types fundraisers that they had in Montreal, 30 million, Saskatoon, 28 million was raised, Vancouver, 24 million was raised, at London, Canada,
Ontario, sure,
30 million, St. John, 20 million, and the list just keeps going down. $292 million were raised for buildings post the Catholic Church saying the most they could possibly raise for the survivors of these residential schools was $3.9 million.
Well, I mean, we're not talking about buildings. It's just people.
I know,
How would you raise that much money for just people when there are buildings to be built?
Yeah. And, one of the things that has happened recently is there have been some Catholic churches getting burned down near reservations.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I understand the anger.
Yeah.
And it actually seems like an apt target is to go after their buildings.
I 100% get that. Yeah. I don't condone it.
No, but I get the thinking.
But I get it.
Yeah. Here's Star Blanket Cree Nation chief Michael Starr saying they didn't keep their promise. You can't just say, "Oh, we tried." That's too bad.
Yeah.
So,
well, I'm going to keep on the same theme.
Oh, really?
Because listen, it's hard out here for a priest. I
know that song.
There's been a lot of heat.
Yeah.
And I did see a story. I don't have this particular story pulled up, but I did see a story about a priest whose church got vandalized with like red paint, and he left it there and just said, "You know what? This seems like an apt memorial to this." I don't remember where that was, but that sounds nice. That is correct. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
they vandalized that. We murdered a whole bunch of your people. You vandalized my church. Even Steven, we're square. Anyway, no, but I actually think that there's some lovely introspection there, and that's actually nice. That is, however, not the norm. I think last week we talked about a priest who had to apologize and stuff. Here's another one. This time it's a bishop. It's an archbishop who was talking about, what's happening since these revelations came to light.
Yeah.
And he said he's been bombarded by people feeling feelings about it, which I don't know. It kind of makes sense to me. And he said, "And so I say in my heart, you know something? There's a persecution happening here. There's a persecution happening here."
No.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh.
That was in a sermon. That is poor persecuted Archbishop Richard Gagnon of Winnipeg.
God almighty. These people just need to keep saying this shit because it's just so fucking revealing.
Yeah. They are shocked. Shocked that anyone would have the temerity to criticize their institution and to hold them accountable.
Right. Like, for cultural genocide and genocide
and murder and
murder,
direct,
at least mass murder,
covered up murder.
Maybe
just
not full genocide.
I think you could call it a genocide. I think that's totally fine.
It's acts of genocide, to quote the Clinton administration.
I just think, maybe this archbishop is right. I mean, all of these things happened. They stopped at least, 30 years ago?
Forever ago. Forever ago.
How can you even hold them accountable at that point?
My
It's so
God.
long ago. Like, a lot of the people involved aren't even alive anymore because they're murdered. Anyway, there you go.
Jesus Christ. Okay, Dan.
Yeah.
I have the story of two men in India who have been in jail for now over 45 days.
Oh, criminals then.
Criminals who they were thrown in jail for criticizing the ruling party of India, and in particular a specific stance. And I mean, clearly, criticism is of government. I mean, it's a protected right and everything, but it never feels good to be criticized.
No, especially not when you're an authoritarian Hindu nationalist shitbag of a ruling party.
Oh wait, are you talking about Prime Minister Narendra Modi?
Yeah.
And his
cohort of
oh God, I'm not going to say it. PJP. That party?
Yeah.
You're talking about them?
That's them. Them's
okay.
the guys.
Well, anyway, these guys, they had some legitimate beefs, and they said it. And apparently, it's not cool to get on and say that cow poo and urine can't cure COVID. That's what they said.
Oh my God.
Because the BJP has been pushing legitimately poop and urine as cures for COVID. I mean, I get it. If you have a disaster on your hands, you gotta distract people with, folk remedy, I guess.
Yeah.
But they don't see it that way. Apparently, cow poop and urine, this is a tradition, because cows are sacred, obviously, in Hinduism.
Right.
And so products made from poop and pee are often touted as antidotes to various diseases.
As curative in some way.
And including now COVID-19. And so just pointing out the fact that maybe we should be relying on science, right? To find the cures for disease.
So wait,
these guys, they're in fucking jail.
These guys
and
had the
just
temerity
any kind of jail
to say maybe not eating and drinking cow poo and cow pee, maybe not that. They had that kind of gall. Well, they deserve to be in jail then. Fuck them.
Well, and also, not for nothing, doctors are pointing out, because I don't know if you've heard about the black fungus problem that they're having in India.
Yeah.
And this is some scary shit. Like human body doesn't do great with funguses, right? And so funguses that actually do attack us, they usually, oh boy, they have a field day with the human body.
Sure.
To save people's lives, they have to like remove eyes.
Yeah.
Right. They have to intentionally blind people, because that's like its quickest way into the brain, I guess, is through the eye. And so if it gets into the eye, it's a little infected, they just take the eye out. Yikes. Right. This is my understanding of it. So this black fungus thing is terrifying. You know what doctors are saying? Cow poop. Cow poop might just be the cause. of this
I got it. Okay.
This crazy black fungus problem that they're having that seems to really only be related to COVID-19 in India. Right? Like, so yeah, maybe there's something that the government's message maybe should be don't do that except for Hinduism.
Right. Maybe India just needs to get on board with silver cure.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what you need to get.
I did want to touch upon really quickly how under what law these guys are being held.
Okay.
India has it's called the National Security Act. Apparently it's an old colonial law that gives the state powers to arrest and detain suspects for up to 12 months, even without a formal charge or trial.
Yeah. That's not good.
That's the shitty law that a shitty political party is using to lock up two guys and probably others who would dare criticize them for pushing really dangerous beliefs out into
it's just
the
a totalitarian regime. It is just it's awful.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It's just human rights violations all over the place. That's fun. But it's especially fun to do a human rights. If you're going to do a human rights violation, do it because you want people to eat poo. That's the fun way to do it.
It's really remarkable. Like, just like when I first heard that people were eating poo to cure them of COVID, because I heard about this a little while back. I was just like, no.
Well, it just sounds like
I believe the internet has made something up here.
Yeah.
Like this is not real. Like this is like one or two people.
Yeah, this is just a fringe crazy blah blah blah.
And it's being reported to make it sound like it's a thing. No, it's a thing.
Yeah, and it's a
People
thing
are
that you
doing
can go
this.
to jail for saying it isn't a thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
Okay, great. India sounds great. Never go to India ever again, anybody, by the way.
Oh, no.
You kidding? Oh, okay. Go, Frank. Have fun. Enjoy yourself.
Well, not right now.
No. Give it 50 years and then maybe. I don't know.
God.
I don't. I've been there, but okay. There aren't enough vaccines in the world to get me there right now. All right, so I'm gonna close off on some good news.
Oh, okay.
And this news actually shocked me. I was genuinely shocked because we have learned, and I think we can all agree that the U.S. Supreme Court right now is a garbage place where stupid happens. That's all we get now. The United States Supreme Court, the highest court in the land, is now just the United States court of making sure that religions can do whatever they want and everyone else has to just suck it.
Yep.
So
It's a mouthful, but they did actually change
They did actually change the name.
So,
that is the official now name of it. So everybody just mark your calendars on that one. The Supreme Court has decided not to hear a case. Now, this case is about an incident that happened in 2013. That is how long this fucker's been bouncing around in our court system. So what basically happened was a woman named Baronelle Stutzman, who was a florist, refused to flower the wedding of Robert Ingersoll and Kurt Fried, who are gay fellows. And even though gay marriage was legal in the state of Washington at the time, she refused. The state, based on their laws, which have there are anti-discrimination laws in place, they fined her $1,000 and said, don't do this shit. You have to, provide people. If you're going to provide wedding flowers, provide wedding flowers. That's your job. That's what you do now. So she sued and made it through so much of the court system. Eventually, the Washington Supreme Court, that's the state Supreme Court, unanimously ruled against her. But she wanted to go further. And, of course, she was probably backed by all kinds of right-wing groups.
No, absolutely.
So they said, hey, Supreme Court, help. The Supreme Court didn't actually take the case. What they did was they basically commanded the Washington courts to reevaluate based on the fact that the U.S. Supreme Court had ruled on the Masterpiece Cake Shop case.
Oh,
now, if you'll recall, that's the Christian baker in Colorado who wouldn't make a wedding cake for a same-sex couple. But the thing is that ruling was so narrow as to be worthless for other rulings. That ruling was just about how the state of Colorado's commission didn't, overstepped their bounds in how they punished him, which was bullshit, but that was it. So the Washington State Supreme Court said, okay, we'll look at it again. Yep, we're right. We were right the first time, and again unanimously voted, against this woman. Well, this week, the U.S. Supreme Court decided not to take up the case, and what that means is that what the Washington Supreme Court said stands. The case is now over. And discrimination has actually been ruled not okay in one instance in the state of Washington.
All right.
Isn't that great?
That is good. But it only applies to Washington.
Look, the fact that there's anywhere in the United States where you're not allowed to discriminate anymore, I'm going to take the win. I'm taking the W.
All right.
Because frankly, at this point,
49 more to go.
I thought I had given up entirely. Now, the court, when they denied the taking it up, wanted to make it clear that Justice Thomas, Justice Alito, and Justice Gorsuch wanted to take up the case.
I wonder how it would have gone. I wonder what their mindset was.
Yeah. Well, their mindset was just. No. We're going to try and make it like the whole reason that all of them are there is to make discriminating against,
Well, it's definitely why those three are there. What surprises me is that Amy Coney Barrett and Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That they didn't join in.
I'm pretty shocked about that.
All they needed was
myself.
you just need 4, right? To take up a case? 4 of the 9?
Yeah, you need a majority, I think.
No, I don't think so.
Anyway, oh no, you're right. It does. It takes 4 votes to hear a case. You're absolutely right.
And they couldn't get one of those 2. That's remarkable.
Yeah, that is kind of shocking, actually. You would think that they would have been able to get one more, but apparently not. So yeah, one person has been stopped from apparent. Well, and one state has been stopped from discriminating. So,
well, all right, okay,
hooray!
It's interesting.
Anyway, if y'all have something you'd like to say about this or any of our stories, we're easy to get a hold of. You can write to us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com is the address.
Or you can call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Stick around, we've got emails and voicemails coming up. Hey, Dan.
Oh, yeah.
We've got somebody to play today that we've heard before on the show.
Yeah, I mean, he's a peach. He's a
Mr. Pastor Perry Stone. Yeah. He's a snazzy dresser. That's the thing I like about this guy.
He's wearing a shirt that has I mean, when you can't decide on what pattern you want your shirt to be, go with all of them.
I see a rose.
Yeah. There's some damask, maybe. I don't know.
There's damask, yeah. I definitely see damask.
There may be a paisley in there somewhere.
There's some paisley, all sorts of geometric patterns.
Also, the shirt is 3 sizes larger than he is, but that's okay. That's fine. It's still on him. It covers his naughty bits and whatever. Anyway, he's got a message. Look, people are leaving church. People are leaving. They're walking away. And there's a danger there that he wants you to be aware of. One
that people probably haven't thought about.
If you were called to do something, maybe you were called to help a church or a ministry, a fellowship, and that was the call where God placed you. But somehow out of offense or what you heard or what somebody said or someone's opinion, you just decided, I'm out of here, and you left. What if you were supposed to be the person to greet that young person or even pray for them in an altar and see them delivered from suicide, and you're not there, and that person commits suicide because you were assigned to be the person to reach them? This is a very, very serious thing, and I really feel like the Holy Spirit gave me a warning for Christians to please be at the position He's called you. Be the soldier He's called you. Be the person at the intercession, in the trench lines of intercession that He's called you to be. Because otherwise, somebody else will take your crown, and you will not have anything to lay before the feet of Jesus when we bow and take our crowns off to worship Him.
I think he did a little switcheroo at the end there. Because originally, this was about, if you leave the church, somebody's going to commit suicide, and that's your fault.
Yeah.
But at the end, it was like, if you leave the church, somebody else is going to take your crown. Which, to me, that says somebody else is going to save that suicide person. You're fine.
No, he's clear on that one. That suicidal person has only one person at church, and that person's at church, right?
Right.
Who's going to say the right thing.
Just the right message. Yeah. Which, by the way, people at church are great at saying just the right message to a grieving or hurt or sad person. They're amazing at it.
Nobody has felt suicidal after leaving church ever.
Just, oh my God, it's that. So yeah, solid guilt trip there from Perry. Nice, good job.
But also like the kind of guilt trip that leaves you like resenting the person.
Oh
right?
Yeah,
like that is just like the most obvious and the most harebrained guilt trip of all time.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to manipulate somebody, you don't go full, someone will commit suicide because you left the church. Just a modicum of subtlety is all we're asking, Perry Stone. That's all we want. But no, he went all the way there. So there you go. I don't know what this crown thing is.
I've never heard that. Like everybody gets a crown that you have to take off,
right,
and then kneel before Jesus,
right? Like
that's a new one. That is totally new.
Yeah, I was not aware of head jewelry. Now I'm starting to be sad that I'm not in church because I didn't know I was going to get a crown. That's a big selling point.
You get a crown.
You got to lead with the crown, guys.
But apparently, you can be there, right? You can be in heaven without a crown.
Yeah,
and worship Jesus.
Yeah, but then you're going to kneel down and place the crown in front of him, and everyone else is going to have a crown, and he's going to look at you like, "What do you got? What is that? A baseball cap?"
That's that's
nothing.
I don't know. I think crowns seem cumbersome to me.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want one. That's not a selling point for me. I've never ever thought you know what? I'd like to wear a crown someday.
Shakespeare said, "Heavy is the head that wears the crown."
And it's absolutely true. I watched The Crown. I watched Queen Elizabeth practicing walking around with the crown on. It looks awful.
Yeah, a coronet at most.
A tiara. I'd take a tiara.
Sure. Oh, sure.
Simple,
everybody wants a nice tiara.
Understated, right? Goes with everything.
Yeah.
There's not an outfit that a tiara doesn't go with.
Yeah. Are you out to play tennis? Tiara.
A tennis tiara.
You going for a hike in the woods? Throw on a tiara. It's never
a trail
wrong.
Tiara. Yeah.
A little bit of forehead bling goes a long way.
Yeah.
All right, so we had some folks write into us, call into us. We got to get to that. Spencer wrote in to say, "Hi, Frank and Dan. While listening to episode 461, I have no idea what episode that was, I had a flashback when you were talking about religious people speaking in tongues.
Oh, yeah.
I used to go to Christian youth groups when I was about 13 or 14. And whenever we would do that weird huddle prayer thing where everyone in the room touches each other's shoulder, the lights are dim, and there's soundscapes playing in the background, I remember hearing people around me speaking extremely fast, and I was never able to understand if they were actually saying words. I would always feel left out, like I wasn't involved enough in the Christian community by not knowing what the fuck they were talking about. Oh, no. I was afraid to ask. I would never put together until today that they were speaking in tongues, aka gibberish. That was one of the many things that pushed me further and further out of the church, the church door and into my own way of thinking. Now, being atheist, I think back on it and I can't help but laugh. I am so glad I never bothered to try and get someone to teach me that shit. Thanks for talking about it, and I always look forward to listening to your episodes.
Well, nobody teaches any, like, just humana, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, like, no, you gotta learn to loosen that tongue. You gotta learn to loosen that tongue. That comes.
Humana. I like humana.
I like sure.
Ha. I like the people who are like ha.
Ha, tamata. Usually they pick a vowel sound and just throw a bunch of consonants in front of that single vowel sound.
Right.
Tamata cha ka patata. Hum pa 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 cha cha ta.
You're a natural, Dan.
Oh, yeah.
You need to go get in one of those circles.
I went to acting school. They're just doing vocal warm-ups is all they're doing.
Red leather, yellow leather. Red leather, yellow leather.
I put a pat of butter on a little lemon tart. All right. Max wrote into us. We actually had a couple people write into us about last episode. We talked about the fact that even cute little religions can be harmful. That all religion has harm. And we had a couple people write into us about that. Max said, Last week you were asked a great question. You asked a great question. What is the harm in religion? I came from a very liberal religious background, and I want to assert that there is real harm even in churches that align with many of my values. The greatest harm is that even liberal or progressive religion twists you into knots asking questions that are pointless. You add another layer to life which muddles things. For example, I struggled with depression while in the church. The priest never claimed that I was possessed or that I needed to pray about the problem. In fact, she even encouraged me. You catch that? She. That's a she. They had a lady priest.
This was liberal.
In fact, she even encouraged me to seek help from secular mental health providers. But because I believed that there was a good God somehow stirring the pot, I still wrestled with the questions. Why did God make me sick? Why is this happening? What is the purpose of this? None of this did any good. I could have been restored to wellness without this detour and with much less soul searching. Religion forces you to wrestle with pointless questions like the problem of evil, the problem of divine hiddenness, and theological squabbles. Even if you're not being abused in church, you are making life more complex than it needs to be, and you're pissing away time and money too. Well said, Max. I agree with that entirely. And then Eric said, in your last episode, you talked about how every religion is harmful. As a former mainline Protestant, I agree, and almost got in a Facebook fight over this. But in my Google searches, I cannot find the harm that Jainism has caused. I'm asking, what harm was ever caused by Jainism? Well, I did a quick Google search myself, Eric, and I got to say, I don't know what your Google question was or what your search terms were, but just I went for the low-hanging fruit and just Googled Jainist misogyny.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Boom, baby. Easy. That one was an easy one. Low-hanging fruit. And speaking of low-hanging fruit, I did get a couple of articles about the sect of Jainism where the men, called Digambara, where the men walk around naked.
Oh, wow.
That's an interesting thing. But the women are not allowed to walk around naked because not only do they have the old trope of if women walk around naked, then men can't control their sexual thoughts, which I've been to plenty of, I've been to naked places. It's fine. You can. You're just being a dick. You're just gross. Work on you. And then also, I read a whole thing that was a review of Jain scriptures and writings. And the thing about Jainism is that they are like hyper into not harming any other creature. So, they carry little brooms with them to sweep bugs away so that they don't accidentally step on a bug. Well, they also apparently, at least some of them believe that women have little microscopic critters just sort of falling out of them, just living in them, in their fluids and their menstrual cycle and their armpits and all this stuff. And they scratch when they itch, and therefore they're killing these little micro bugs, and they're not good. They're not good Jains.
Oh my God.
So look, I guess the point is, there's harm. The harm is there. I promise you. So yeah, don't. And I literally stopped at the misogyny. I promise you, if you dug around, you'd find more. You just got to know you got to know where to look. Anyway, we had some folks write in or call into us, didn't we, Frank?
We did, Dan. This first voice message that I want to play is from Lauren. She's responding to that, the episode where you talk about the children's book that sort of asks all sorts of questions about the nature of God and proposes some ideas, I guess. Anyway, this is what she has to say about that.
Okay.
Hey, Frank and Dan. This is Lauren from Missouri. I was raised Methodist, but whenever my parents told me that Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny weren't real, I quickly realized that anything religious was just as mythical. And I just wanted to share a story with you guys. I was listening to episode number 498, and you were talking about how not a lot of churches put in effort into conceptualizing who God is or putting an image to this almighty being that is supposed to be present around us all the time. And I wanted to share a story with you about Sunday school class in my Methodist church. I was probably 6 or 7, and they did this activity where they gave everyone a blank piece of paper and they told us to draw what our image of God was. And to me, that was really confusing because I asked questions like, why is there not already an image of God? Like, if there's supposed to be one God, then why is it not clear to everyone what he is and who he looks like? And I just kept asking them questions like this and told them, like, I can't give you an image of God if I'm not given any kind of pretext for what he looks like. And I ended up giving my Sunday school teacher so much trouble that they sent me back up to the congregation. I finished that service with the adults because I guess I wasn't thinking enough like a kid. But I just wanted to let you guys know that that happens sometimes where they have children come up with their own idea of what God is, and I just wanted to see what you thought about it. I love you guys. I love your show. Thanks so much for what you do. Bye-bye.
Troublemaker.
Yeah. In an exercise that has no wrong answers, right?
You found it.
Lauren found the wrong answer.
Well done. Well done. And the wrong answer turned out to be, can you give me a hint? Can you give me a clue?
They're like, just draw a fucking smiley face.
It's a fucking old man with a beard. We all know that. Just
yeah. Draw a tree. Draw your house.
Draw clouds. Clouds are fine. If you want to just do clouds.
The sunshine. The sun shining on us. Whatever you want,
oh my
sweetheart.
God.
Just do it.
I just want to be there when a kid actually like draws a minotaur holding an AK-47 or whatever. Just like, that's what my Jesus looked like. He's a goddamn hero, what he is. Oh man, yeah. There you go. I'll read another email real quick. This is from MJ, and MJ says, "I spent 22 of my 26 years on this planet going to ultra-conservative Christian schools and Baptist churches. Even though I no longer pray, read the Bible, or attend church, many of the things I was taught still feel very real to me. I listen to your podcast every Sunday morning now as a replacement for church, and it brings me a lot of comfort." Well, that's great. I feel a bit stuck because I don't want to believe the things I was taught anymore, but I also don't feel in control of my own beliefs either. It's easy for me to brush off Mormonism or Islam or Hinduism, etc., as false religions. But when anybody criticizes Christianity, particularly the Southern Baptist flavor, my gut reaction is still a feeling of defensiveness and anger. Did either of you experience this when you were deconstructing from your faith? And do you have any advice or resources? I think, MJ, what a wonderful thing that you are like just checking in with yourself about this. Because what they've done to you is indoctrination, and that doesn't just go away just because you realize it's not true. It doesn't just evaporate when you learn that what they're telling you was false.
Yeah.
So I think, I mean, look, I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist. We're not therapists. We don't know the best ways to do this, but I think you can start with just allowing. Allow the feelings to come, but then ask some questions about it. You know what I mean? Like when those feelings rise up, that's an opportunity for you to sit down with what you know and what you don't know and just let it all bubble together. Because eventually the thing, the new ways of thinking, because you can't control your feelings. All you can control is your thoughts. So your new ways of thinking will eventually sort of create new neural pathways, and you eventually all of those, programmed in things that you're dealing with will dissipate.
Yeah. Well, and that other sort of, there's another question in there about just sort of like when other people criticize their in-group.
Yeah.
Right? MJ's in-group.
Yeah.
Former in-group at that. And having a reaction to that. I know that, right? Like,
yeah.
I don't know if you ever experienced that after being done with Mormonism. And, I worked in hospitality here in Salt Lake for a long time. And people love to show up to Salt Lake and complain about everything.
Right. And make fun of the Mormons and
And there's, I got to the point, well, initially it was like, hey, no, that's my thing, right? Who the hell are you, right? And then it turned into just general annoyance at like the cheap shots and the uninformed criticisms and whatnot, which is probably about where I'm at still to this day, where it's just like, okay, there are actually like quality things to complain about and point out about the Mormons, right? Like your little quibble over here or whatever, making fun of what, but you know what? Let them make fun. Let them have their criticisms because.
But no, I think you're right. Like there is, to me, whenever somebody makes fun of any group in a way that comes from a place of being uninformed, I think that's, I'm not okay with it. Like we make a living making fun of religious groups. Right. But if we're getting it wrong, if we're, if we're making fun of them for something that isn't theirs, or then we're making a mistake. We're doing something wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
But also there is that sort of feeling of like, only I can beat up my brother. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Like you can't, like, I know him. I know why he's a little piece of shit, but you don't. So I get that. But
he's my
in
piece of
the
shit.
end, in the end, MJ, you got to go through the process. It's just a process, and it's not gonna happen instantly, and then you're gonna find like years from now, when you thought you got rid of all of the vestiges of the programming that they did to you, something's gonna rear its head, and you're gonna be like, "What the fuck? Why is that there?" So just expect it. Just know that it's going to be there. It's not a big deal. It's just part of the process. And feel free to feel whatever feelings that causes in you, because, I have plenty of feelings. Hey, do we have some folks to thank?
Dan, we do indeed. We have 5 new patrons on Patreon. So, first up, we have a new deacon by the name of Mike. Thank you so much, Mike.
Awesome.
We have 2 new teachers by the name of Zane and Sue.
Excellent.
Thank you to the both of you. We have a new elder by the name of Joseph. So thank you, Joseph.
Excellent.
And we have a new patriarch.
Ooh. We got magic powers. We are giving out magic powers
Seriously,
to people today,
These
y'all.
people have bought some serious magic powers. And our new patriarch is Sir Arcane. So thank you. Thank you to all 5 of you, and thank you to everyone who supports the show. Whether it's on...
wait, I got to cut you off. I just remembered that we also have a new PayPal donor. So that yet another deacon to bestow some love upon. That's Joseph.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much to everyone who supports the show. We can't do it without you. And you know, if you'd like to join these kind folk in supporting the show, please go to thankgodimatheist.com and click on the support tab. And as always, Dan, we have our top donors to thank, our co-lords and savior, Austin and Demonium. Woo! Stick around, there's more show coming up. Dan.
Yeah.
Do you hear that hissing sound?
There's something in the air.
It's the sound of a gas light.
Yeah. It's there, and it's coming directly from downtown Salt Lake City. That sound.
It's getting louder by the day.
It is amazing that we can actually that there's any darkness in this city at nighttime with all the gaslighting that is happening right now. Because oh my God, I am outraged currently.
I love how upset you are about this, because I'm just like, oh, Jesus, of course. Of course they're revising their history and acting like, no, it's been this way the whole time. What are you talking about?
Okay.
This is how it's been.
Yeah.
The whole time.
Let me tell you something. Look, the people have joked about it. The South Park guys joked about it, and you know, Book of Mormon musical joked about it. But the fact of the matter is that you and I were raised in the Mormon Church, and we were taught in church by church leaders that the way the Mormon afterlife works is that you die. If you were good, you get exalted. You get to, you bring one or more wives with you, and
and
obviously
possibly get more.
Yeah. Throw a couple more into the back of the car, and then you get to become a god yourself. The quote was, as God, as we are, God once was, and as God is, man may become.
Yes.
That was promised to us.
Yes.
We abandoned them before we got that promise fulfilled. But look, there are millions of Mormons who were given that talk many times.
Oh yeah.
Well, now, unceremoniously, on the Mormon Church's website, churchofjesuschrist.org, there is a Q&A for outsiders, which I promise you, Mormons in the church do not know about currently. that has a bunch of frequently asked questions. They call it Mormonism 101, which is shocking in and of itself, because you guys are the ones who said we're not supposed to use the term Mormonism, but there you go. It is just littered with things like do Mormon, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, two of the sections have blown our minds. The first one being the question, do Latter-day Saints believe that they will, quote, get their own planet?
The answer is yes.
The correct answer is
Latter-day
they very
Saints
much do believe that.
Yeah, they actively.
Yeah.
Members of the church believe that. But apparently, no, the church never taught that.
Yeah.
How did you guys get this idea?
Yeah, we don't know where this came from. It's clearly just a goof that other people made up.
Yeah. So their answer is no. This idea is not taught in Latter-day Scripture, nor is it a doctrine of the church. What? And then they go on. This misunderstanding stems from speculative comments unreflective of scriptural doctrine.
Oh my God, you fucking assholes.
The fuck? Speculative comments that were taught openly in general conference, over the pulpit at church, teachers in Sunday school using church education system manuals. This shit was promulgated like mad.
Everywhere. It's one of it's their best perk.
Yeah.
Like, it is literally the best thing about being a Mormon, because there's nothing good on this planet about being a Mormon. So literally they had to promise you a whole nother planet just for you. Just for, that's a good signing bonus right there.
Yeah. And not for nothing. Like the number one anti-Mormon thing that was out there when we were growing up, Dan, you'll recall hearing about the God Makers, right?
Right.
The animated or little film. It was actually not all animated, but it was a film that some, evangelical types made about Mormon beliefs.
Yeah.
Because
this was meant to blow up the Mormon Church. They were going to.
Yeah, exactly. And they go through, and I've watched it before a few different times, right? And they go through and they spell it all out. And when you're sort of, when you're Mormon, hearing an outsider say it the way that they're saying it, it's like, oh, well, I mean, that just doesn't sound right. They're just putting a twist on it, right?
Yeah.
But when you watch it years out of the church, it's like, oh yeah, these guys completely 100% brushed up on their Mormon theology.
Yeah, they got it.
And got it completely right. Like, it is so perfect that, like, if the church just spoke plainly about any of this stuff ever, right?
Yeah.
Then yeah, it would be this. It would be the way that they would say it.
And
right?
here's the thing: the church is now speaking very plainly about it, and it's a full 180 reversal.
Yeah.
And right before
they never
that,
felt the need to shut people up in the past when they were talking about it. They didn't feel the need to shut up general authorities when they spoke about it.
Right.
All of the like, whether or not they're right about it not being in Mormon scripture. Right.
Yeah.
Which I would have to really go back and think about that one and look around a bit. This is the logical next step Mormon scripture that was talked about by all of the early prophets. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. I feel like I remember hearing this kind of stuff in general conference.
I didn't go back and search where this may have popped up and all that stuff. I'm sure that there are people who are frantically doing that right now that we can eventually look at.
Yeah.
I'll let them do the hard work.
Well, and the other question that blew our minds, Dan, was, do Latter-day Saints believe they can become gods? Which we've kind of been dancing around a little bit with how we're talking about get your own planet. It's obviously a part of the whole thing. And they're backing off on that too.
Yeah.
So not only is it like, oh, well, you could be a god, but like, okay, you're not going to get your own planet. That's just silly. Where would that planet come from? They're actually
Literally
backing off on the thing that is taught to little kids as part of the plan of salvation.
Yeah.
For Christ's sake.
Yeah, literally. So I just Googled the line that I said earlier, the as man is, God once was thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is from one of the prophets directly.
Yes.
That is from Lorenzo Snow, the fifth president of the church.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't know how you get around that.
And I don't, they haven't they've done a pretty good job of branding, Brigham Young as being a little bit of a loose cannon. You can't trust everything Brigham Young said, right? Like they're clear on that, right? The Adam God theory and some of the other crazy things that came out of Brigham Young's mouth, right? Like they have long since stepped away from that stuff. I don't know. Lorenzo Snow? I've never heard them try to downplay anything from Lorenzo Snow that I can recall, right? Like he was a legit one. He wasn't a crazy loose cannon, right?
It's just crazy. It is just, they are literally pretending like their whole history never happened. They are now to the point where they realized, oh shit, we are the wacky church. That everybody's making fun of, and they're making fun of us for legitimate reasons. How do we get around it? And the answer is just gaslighting. The answer is just, we never believed that. That was just you guys saying that. That wasn't us. That was somebody else. That was a guy down the street. Our guy was just telling us what he heard. So I don't know how you guys can hold us to that. Like literally, when the prophet and understand that when we say that, like, the president of the church, he's a prophet with like a direct line to God.
Oh yeah.
So when they say shit, it's supposed to be, you have to take it seriously. No, they're just gonna let that fly, let go of it. They're gonna put it on a boat, set the boat on fire, and send it off into the sunset. So there you go, folks. Nothing that the Mormons believe is what they believe anymore. So, at this point, I don't know what that church believes. Do you? Do you feel like you have a sense of what that church believes anymore? I don't.
They're trying to just kind of brand themselves as, and they've been trying this for a long time, just be sort of a mainline Protestant religion. That's just all they want to be. Right, at this point. They just want to be one of the normies who aren't crazies, right?
Yeah.
And up until now, I've always thought that it was more, that there was more of a branding attempt. And now I think they're actually really trying to get into their actual belief system and see what they can get rid of.
What they can get away with.
Without actually having to rewrite scripture at this point. They'll rewrite scripture. That's the thing. They will. That will be the next step.
Well, they've been doing that all along. They do these little revisions to take out offensive words or something. Yeah. But they may have to like do full rewrites and like drop a couple books or whatever.
Yeah. Well, and they're going to absolutely have to drop the temple
eventually.
They have to. The temple is nothing but creation story, and the plan of salvation. Like
it's just lunacy. It is crazy. And here's the thing. So I googled, like I said, that line, "As men are, God once was," whatever. And here's where the church talks about it. The church talks about it under a section of their website called poetry, and they call it a couplet. It is just a poetic couplet.
That couldn't possibly mean anything.
Yeah.
It's fairly plainly stated.
It's pretty amazing.
Wow. A couplet.
Yeah. Okay. There. It is full on gaslighting coming out of Salt Lake City. So if you're in Utah and you see a giant beam of light coming from downtown Salt Lake, that's what it is.
Good Lord.
Yeah, that is volcanic level gaslighting, my friends. So enjoy that. Go out and ask your Mormon friends what they believe about it, and then show them their website that proves that they're wrong. That's fun. Well, there you go, kids. If you want to write into us about why we are or aren't being gaslit, please feel free to do so. Podcast at thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, hey, go to the Facebook page, would you? Click on the like button. It's just facebook.com/TGIAtheist. We're easy to find.
And if you'd like to join one of our 2 members-only lounges, you can do so by going to thankgodimatheist.com/members-only. We've got one over on Facebook and one over on Discord. You can join whichever one you want. Or both.
Yeah, hey, thanks so much to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their beautiful music.
And thanks to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music.
And thanks to all of you, dear friends, for tuning in. We sure do appreciate you.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.